Hey, welcome, Aaron. Thanks for coming on today. I've been reaching out for you for a while, and we chat about fighting all the time. So it's nice to actually finally get you on the show and actually talk some fighting on video rather than just in person.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Buzzing to be on. Obviously, we've been chatting for like a couple of years now since we met, and I've always known that you're a keen fight fan and you like all sorts of fights. And when I seen on the internet that you were doing this, I was immediately my ears pricked, and I was like, "Oh yes, this sounds fun." And I've been interested to talk fights with you on the internet.
Yeah. So for the people that don't know, myself and Aaron, we've known each other a few years now. We're on a sort of long-term course together. Realistically, what we chatted about mainly during that time was either fighting or flowers. As it turned out, we've got a big wisteria. We're avid wisteria growers
and aces
and aces as well. Yeah. So yeah, I'm expecting after this to now that the spring's here to see some nice pictures of Aaron's aces as well.
Yes, mate. Yeah, it'll turn into Japanese maples and a bit of pride, maybe.
Well, you have to, don't you? You got to.
Well, before we start, mate, I want to give you something. I've got a few posters that I had in my office that I used to have when I was back in Seven.
Okay.
And I can't really put them up where I am now. I don't think it will look good on the walls. It may look like some kind of like weirdo, but in a little studio. And I thought maybe Muhammad Ali versus Sonny Liston.
Oh,
first
nice.
First round, 25th of May, 1965. That might look good on your wall, mate.
Oh, it'd be perfect.
So I'll get that to you soon. Obviously, you have to leave it. Don't touch it for 3 days. You don't catch any COVID off, mate.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man.
Nah, cool.
I'll once the merchandise turns up, I'll get some out to you as well.
Yeah, no dramas.
So I've basically put in a big order for a load of merchandise now. Yeah, some nice big gorilla t-shirts, some Big Fights fan gorilla t-shirts. So yeah, I'll get one of those to you. Are you small?
Large, mate, large.
Large. Yeah,
I am at the moment with no like MMA, no jiu-jitsu going on.
Yeah, so, fair one. Yeah. When's it all looking like starting? Do you know?
I think for jiu-jitsu, grappling for me, I'm thinking about 4 or 5 weeks from now.
Okay.
So obviously, the kids go back in a week's time, and then I think it's 2 or 4 weeks after that. Maybe about 4 weeks, actually, maybe a bit longer. But they're looking at obviously outdoor sports first, and then slowly bringing in indoor stuff. So yeah, looking forward to it, man. Absolutely hanging out. And then obviously this all kicked in like a year ago. I mean, I wasn't doing as much training as I should over the last couple of years since I've moved down this end of the country. But since March last year, obviously I haven't done no grappling at all. So I started running. So things must be bad if I'm running.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, you've been hitting the running pretty big, haven't you?
Yeah, just boredom. I've got
ultra marathon. Did you do?
Yeah, so we did my first ultra a couple of just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And a marathon before that. But it's literally because I've got to be doing something. Normally it's jiu-jitsu. For the last nearly 8 years now, I've been doing jiu-jitsu, and it seems to work for like a guy that's sort of like getting into his middle years.
Yeah.
It's not like MMA where there's loads of things you've got to train. It's like it's a bit easier on the body.
Yeah.
So and it's very addictive, and I really enjoy it. So I've been doing that for the last eight or so years, and for that to be just taken away, I can't. And I'm not really a fan of running. I've not really been into running. I've done it for work.
Yeah.
But a few of my mates were doing it, and I was doing it anyway. And then like it's just got bigger and bigger because what else can you do? Press ups and running. There's not much else, is there?
Yeah.
There's not many options. Yeah, but I'm enjoying it.
You've got these niche sports like jiu-jitsu, and it seems like, so I attend a local boxing gym, and I've got a lot of friends that are in both amateur and pro-am and pro boxing gyms, and they got thought about in the initial part. So they carried on running, and then, you know, Boxing England basically had some rules and regulations, and they even started back for a little bit before this last lockdown. But I suppose jiu-jitsu, I mean, I don't know the setup.
Yeah, it did for a bit. It did.
Okay.
Sport England helped, and the Jiu-Jitsu, English Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Association, it got going. There was obviously rules in place for like having a partner when you turn up, sticking with that partner, doing
Right.
the
Okay.
drills, and then rolling after, and then sticking with that partner for every session. So they had
Yeah.
doubles inside the gym, but it didn't last long. You obviously got to Christmas time, and then it all kicked off again, and yeah, went south.
Yeah.
But
Just
hopefully,
ruin the whole thing.
hopefully by spring it's all back up and running, and obviously with everything that the government's doing at the moment in the NHS will be that'll be it. We'll carry on, and then no more breaks.
Whereabouts do you train, Aaron?
So a club called Zion Gym, which is in Andover,
Okay.
and it's run by a guy called Chris Duncan Smith. He's the black belt, and they come under Marcus Almeida, and it's under the lineage of Carlson Gracie.
Oh, okay.
When I
Cool.
was back in Colchester, I used to be I got my two belts from my instructor was called Alan Pozo, and he is under ZR team, so Zay Radiola, the lineage of Zay Radiola.
Okay.
But obviously having to move around with my job, having to switch clubs, and it's good. It's good. I enjoy it. Both clubs have been fantastic and really great with me. Yeah, I love it. It's fun.
Yeah, it's odd with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because they're so up on the history and the legacy of where that instructor has come from.
Yeah.
You know, I like the history element of it.
It's very tribalistic, isn't it? It's like
football.
Yeah. It's like you're in a gang, you stick that gang, and I like that as well. I really like it, especially when it comes to like competitions and stuff, and you got the rivalries. Yeah, I really enjoy that side of it.
Actually, I actually read a book about the whole when it first started in Brazil, and the all the guy, the great. It was all about the Gracies. The book was, and there was rival shooter box type gyms all set up, and they used to meet on a beach, almost as if send your two champions in to have it out, and that stuff genuinely happened. There's videos of Hickson and all the Gracies really. Yeah.
It's crazy how it started off. It's such a young sport, and you can dig into it, and you're not far. Sometimes you're not far from the original source.
Yeah,
like the original races that started it. I mean, you're only a couple of guys away sometimes, so when you're getting that training off your instructor, it's like it's not hundreds of years old, but then it is in a way. Do you know what I mean? It did start at the beginning of the century, and then you can track it back with judo and Japanese jiu-jitsu and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously they've grabbed some of the best bits from all the other arts. So there is history to go back hundreds of years, but at the same time, it's quite young as well.
What's the big difference? The big difference between Japanese jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, obviously apart from the country.
I have never done Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Okay,
but I could tell you more the difference between judo. I mean, you probably already know that. Obviously, judo spend a limited amount of time on the ground. It's all stand up, get you to the ground. You've got a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
and jiu-jitsu, you can spend just as much time standing up, but you can also spend a lot of time on the ground. Obviously, you have guys that are specialists on the ground and can spend most of the match or sparring, doing their work on the ground. But what they've done is they've taken judo, and generally judo is quite a physical sport. Obviously, you're going to be technical with it, but obviously the famous story of jiu-jitsu is being it benefits the smaller guy being able to dominate a bigger opponent. So it's quite good. But also over the years they've grabbed the best bits of like American wrestling and Western Sambo and sort of made this new thing. And
you can see that now. I watched Gordon Ryan yesterday. Watched Gordon Ryan. Did you see the event?
I haven't. It's today. It's on my schedule today, so I haven't watched last night or the UFC. I've just seen some of the stuff off it. Obviously, what happened online.
I won't tell you. I won't tell you what happens. But I know he
won.
Say again.
I know he won.
Oh, you know he won. All right, yeah. So
I know he won, and then I've seen what happened after the fight with him and with Andre Galvao.
Yeah.
chaos can. But
yeah. So and you see some of it in there, especially takedowns. You can literally see some of the sort of Greco-Roman and freestyle stuff has been mixed in, and then they switch to obviously like the old school jiu-jitsu, or the Brazilian jiu-jitsu once it's down. But I suppose you can't beat American freestyle wrestling or Greco-Roman wrestling for the takedowns. The initial takedown is just dominated by that.
Yeah, I think if you've got that wrestling background and you can do high level jiu-jitsu as well, it's a good place to be in grappling. It's great, and then that's what like your Abu Dhabi type like leagues and stuff. That's what that is. It's still jiu-jitsu, but it's heavily wrestling based.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch ADCC?
I have previously watched it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's good. It's different. Very different to like your IB jiu-jitsu, but it's a different type of grappling. But it comes under that grappling banner. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you've got the new American guys that are dominating, and I quite like Gordon Ryan. He gets a lot of stick, but he's bringing a lot of eyes to jiu-jitsu, and that's what helped grow the sport in the end. The more people that watch it on TV and stuff, it'll help it grow. A bit like MMA, like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The more people watch it, the better it's going to get. It's a hard sport. If you're not really into it, it's a hard sport to watch. Unless you know what's going on and you watch two guys grapple or just stand and not do much, it's not that entertaining compared to other sports. But for me, obviously people that are into it, fascinating. We love it, and we've got an idea of what's going on. But I can completely understand why it's slowly. It's taken off, but why it's slow to take off.
Yeah, I think it's the tactics. I think once people appreciate the tactics behind it, then they start to get it. And I suppose the growth of MMA is what it's bringing to light, especially when you get a hardcore jiu-jitsu competitor do well, say in the UFC. People then want to know why he's doing so well. You got people like Ryan Hall, high level jiu-jitsu, especially with all of his leg locks and submissions. He's being avoided at the minute purely because of that. I mean, I wouldn't say he's got good other stuff, but if you're that good at one thing,
specialist,
your opponent has to defeat that one thing, otherwise they lose the fight.
I remember about 10 years ago, a lot of my casual friends. I've been into UFC since I think I started watching it in 2003. I watched my first UFC VHS video. Someone passed me at work, took it home, and was like, "Oh!" And I think it was UFC 1, and I was like, "What is this?" But like 10 years ago, I remember people would watch UFC, and if it went to the ground, they'd go, "Oh, it's boring now," and they wouldn't understand it. But now, like 10 years on, like even the casual fans are understanding grappling. It's like it's not such a dark art. It's things like the internet's really helping. Obviously, the way YouTube and the internet's taken off, it's a great place to see it.
There's a lot of there's a lot of submission promotions now. Stuff like Metamorphosis.
That's gone. I think that's pretty much gone. That went a bit tits up, like financially and stuff like that. That was like the first of these type of new what they call sort of like tournaments, I suppose. And you've got things like Shao Sonnen, he's got one.
Yeah.
You've got the one that was on last night, so WNO, and there's loads. What's his name? Joe Rogan's buddy. Crazy conspiracy.
Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo's got his leagues. He's got combat jiu-jitsu where they slap each other in the face and stuff. They can sort of hit each other open palm.
Yeah.
And then he's got his other league. So all these sort of like little tournaments, fantastic, and it's helping it grow. And it's giving obviously the jiu-jitsu fighters an opportunity to earn some money. Yeah. So Gordon Ryan's like he's earning a bit of cash, and there's plenty of others doing it.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. We'll suppose we'll jump in and have a look at the UFC 259. So next Saturday, or this Saturday coming, UFC 259, probably well, it's the biggest. It's the biggest card of the year. That'll probably be argued by pay-per-view numbers, no doubt, after Conor and Dustin's event. But for me, this is the biggest event. We've got 3 title fights going on. It's the main card, the prelim, but even the early prelims are even stacked. With guys, and I am super looking forward to this one. Did you watch last night's event?
No, I've seen
Garnet Rosenstrike.
Yeah, no, I know the results of the main fight, but I haven't watched it yet. I know, obviously, is it Garnet? Garnet,
yeah, Cyril Gain.
Yeah, I know he won, and Dana wasn't impressed, and it wasn't the most entertaining of fights. Obviously, 2 good strikers, and they're probably been quite cautious.
It seemed. Remember Ngannou versus Lewis?
Yeah,
that it had ring-ins of that to it. Like the guys just didn't want to really. I don't know. Maybe there's something up with Rosenstrike. But I think after his loss to Ngannou, he hasn't looked the same. He had that. He got steamrolled by Ngannou pretty much. Whereas for pretty much all of his fights in the UFC, he's always been the guy that's carrying the power. And I think he was worried, and Cyril Gain as well. I think they were just both worried about getting caught and getting knocked out. And that goes back to what we've spoke about previously about the structure of the show money and the win money. Why would someone take a risk and take home half a paycheck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's it could be a number of things, couldn't it? It could be, like you say, one of them's carrying an injury and it just takes away from the fight. And we've seen it happen so many times. 2 guys with, maybe they're 2 grapplers, and they end up trying to stand up with each other the whole time, and then it doesn't quite work out like as a spectacle. Or 2 guys that are good stand-up guys, and they just sort of like doesn't quite work. Remember Adesanya versus Yo Romero?
Yeah, another one.
Just 2 guys, and no one really messed up. It was just they both knew what they had and didn't step over that line, and that's probably why Adesanya is where he is, because he's so good at I'm not going to step in and potentially get knocked out. But here's the other thing as well. You think, who was Rosenstruck's last fight?
He fought JDS.
Or JDS, and he won. Did he
won?
Yeah, but before that, he got knocked out really bad. I mean, he's had a lot of fights in a short space of time, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So, I wonder if that's got anything to do with it. Do you know what I mean? He's he could have had a bad camp. Has he recovered from getting knocked out from Ngannou? I mean, and obviously he knocked JDS out, but
people forget that as well. You think, well, of course he's recovered because he's been cleared by the medical staff, but sometimes it's nice to see fighters take even a year off after a bad knockout because you don't recover, and all the sort of studies that are going on now just prove that you need to take that time off away from sparring. I mean, you're even getting guys now who have given up sparring.
Yeah, it's obviously really common now, and they've worked out from looking at the information we're getting from American football.
Yeah,
obviously that was that movie that what's his name? Will Smith. Will Smith did that movie about that scientist, I think he was.
Yeah.
And he basically looked at American football, and they didn't want to know, and then they were like, oh, it came out, and then since then it's transversed into boxing and UFC, and it's like, we've got to look after these people, because in the end, look at the state of some of the boxers that were in from when we were kids. Look at how they talk now. A lot of them are not good. It's not good. So UFC, we don't know, because it's such a young sport. Is that going to go that way?
Yeah.
I tend to think not, because the amount of, you got them big gloves on, you can go 12 rounds of getting punched in the head, and you can recover during the fight quite well. But that's a lot of punches to the head. Obviously, in the sport is about just punching to the head, whereas the UFC, it's all over the body. You're getting hit. It's very superficial, lots of cuts that look bad and knockouts, but you get knocked out quicker in the UFC, in MMA, and you're getting hit all over the body. So maybe, fingers crossed, touch wood, the effects won't be as bad in MMA, but you still got to look after the fights, and I'm sure some people will suffer. I mean, we can see it already. You can see people not with their faculties and talking correctly.
Exactly. I think it's also we look at a 12-round boxing bout. What you don't see is the 1,000 rounds of sparring that went into the training camp, to get to that stage. And now you're getting. We've had Max Holloway say he's given up sparring completely.
Man,
and
it just reminded me of that fight though. Talking of getting like punched in the head too much.
Yeah. I was like, the thing is, I was watching it. In fact, that was an early card, so I watched it with my wife, and Sam was like, "Oh, why are they not stopping this?" But Qatar was still throwing back, and every now and again there was still a little worry. Like, I wanted Holloway to win because I want to see him get the featherweight strap back. I like Qatar; I think he's great. It's just not his time yet. But he was still throwing back, short elbows, throwing, the haymakers in. And he was close to catching Holloway a few times. So he was still defending. Well, not defending himself, but he was still fighting. He was still in the fight.
He was,
A few Holloway people just dominated him.
Yeah. A few people whinged, like, at the ref, which was Herb Dean, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like, for not stopping it. And, like, his corner, that's what his corner's there for as well. And they know the fighter best. So he's got a ref in his corner and they're not stopping it because I think they can both. I mean, it's easy for us to go, you should stop it. But actually, when you look back at it and listen to people, experts, like ex-fighters and stuff, and talk about it, like you said, he was showing that he was in it still.
Yeah.
But he was just getting absolutely peppered with shots.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with when you fight a fighter like Holloway, he's not necessarily going to knock you out with, like, the biggest power. He is going to put you away with repetition of shots. Just the amount of
cumulative effect. Over
he was,
the course.
I could see he was like absolutely hanging out, like with just like the pressure that was getting put on him was immense. It was amazing to watch. It was really good.
Yeah, I can't believe that Holloway can keep that pace up for 5 rounds.
Yeah, it's mental. But I see what you're saying. But it's because he never goes for knockouts.
Yeah.
If he gets a knockout or a TKO, if he gets it, it's because he's hit them that many times, they've crumbled under the pressure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he's finishing them. You don't see him like one punch bang because he's not like a McGregor or the guys that can knock people out. A bit like Adesanya. Adesanya does that. He's like, blah, 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 blah. He's got a bit more power, a bit more finger shots. But Adesanya is just clipping you, just putting the pressure on.
Yeah, a la the Diaz brothers, they had the same cumulative effect.
Yeah. But you're sinking, aren't you? You're sinking, but you're swimming and you can't stay up.
Yeah. Like me on a run. Cool. Should we jump in and chat about the card?
Let's do it. Like, if we don't, we're never going to chat about it. We'll be off on every rabbit hole there is.
Cool. I do. What do you want to do? You want to start at the early prelims?
Yeah. Go on. Well, I've only really massively looked into. I haven't looked at the prelims too much.
Okay.
But let's talk about them. You lead the way.
Okay. So I think we won't talk about every fight. We'll talk about some of the sort of fights that jump out. If you're happy with that.
Yeah. Go.
Cool. So I think realistically there are some good bouts on the early prelims. We've got a few of the contender series alumni like Carlos Ulberg. We've got Jake Matthews on there and Uros Medic. But I think the big fight on this is at flyweight. We've got Tim Elliott and Justin Espinosa.
Yes.
Obviously, Tim Elliott has been there, done that at flyweight. He got the win on the Ultimate Fighter. Do you remember the flyweight one where they took the champions from basically DJ had run out of contenders, so they run a whole Ultimate Fighter to find him another contender. Tim Elliott won that. And sort of got back into the UFC by doing that. I think the flyweight division is pretty stacked up, or backed up. We've got Cody Garbrandt that's now dropped down. We've got Benavidez, who's later on in the show. But I think Tim Elliott versus Espinosa, whoever gets a win is straight back up. Straight back up there, top 10, potentially a couple of fights away from another title fight. Yeah,
it's not the deepest of divisions, is it? And I think that's why What's underneath it? What's the Rooster? Is flyweight the lowest weight?
Yeah.
So that's the one that Dana was thinking about getting rid of, weren't he? But luckily,
125.
Cejudo obviously done his thing and he's kept it going. But we need more of these fighters to come through and stack the division out. And Tim Elliott is definitely one for the future, same as Jordan Espinosa. So it'll be interesting to see who wins out of these. I haven't actually seen any of these two fight.
Oh, have you not?
No, I haven't. No, so it's hard
to
comment on.
I mean, both of them probably considered sort of. It's hard to call someone a veteran when they haven't got a huge amount of fights. You need Jordan Espinosa's got 22, 23 fights, which is not a huge amount, but he is a veteran, been around sport a long time. But I think you're right with flyweight. I mean, Figueroa versus Moreno a few weeks ago, that done wonders for the flyweight division. And I know that it's now holding Garbrandt up, but there had to be a rematch after that fight.
Yeah, definitely. That was an impressive fight.
Yeah, and Figueroa as well. He's now working on his English a bit, so he can actually give some better interviews after that. And I think it sounds really weird, but we can appreciate fighting, but fans want to hear the guys talk as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it humanises a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty stacked up. The flyweight division now is better than it used to be. You're always going to have your people like Benavidez nipping at the doors of a title shot, but what's he had now? Four titles.
It'd be nice if it works out for him, but I just think against the very best, the very top of that division, he's just missing out all the time. But you never know. Maybe in the next couple of years, he'll do like a Michael Bisping, and he'll sneak through and grab a title.
I mean, maybe he just likes going home and getting looked after by Megan Levy. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah, fair one.
Cool. So we'll jump into the prelim card then. So this is where it starts getting way more stacked. We've got Kai Kara France and Rogério Bontorin. I think Kai Kara France comes out of the same kickboxing academy with Adesanya, Volkanovski. He's all part of that Australia, New Zealand team. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. He's still young. So I think I'm looking forward to that fight. I know Bontorin is, if he's not the favourite, he's definitely higher ranked than Kai Kara France. But we're going to get that. It's at flyweight again. And there's probably a reason this is opening it up over Tim Elliott versus Jordan. I'm looking forward to it. Above that, we've got Benavidez versus Asgarov. Yeah,
I can see Benavidez winning this. I think he's going to win this, and then he's going to be like he always is, nipping away at a title fight.
Yeah.
And then probably not make it. That's the unfortunate thing. It's just the way the cookie crumbles for him at the moment. He's like the best guy that's not in the top 2 or 3 or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It reminds me of a Henderson or an Uriah Faber. You know, those type of fighters that just not enough. Elite, but not the elite.
Yeah, and he's getting old now, isn't he? He's been around for a few years.
Yeah. So, he came over and was one of the original flyweights when DJ, who was it? Yeah, when DJ come over and won that initial flyweight belt, he was one of the guys that came over with that. Or when they bought out WEC.
Yeah, and that was his problem. He was around at his peak when DJ was at his peak, and obviously DJ was recognised as pound for pound probably the number 1. In the world. So.
Yeah, I mean, some of his stuff that I used to see just amazed me.
Yeah.
And it was in fast forward.
Yeah.
So I'm picking Askarov for this fight.
Really? Okay, so I think Jose's going to win it, mate.
I think Askarov. He's younger, hungrier, and I think these 2 losses that Benavidez has had to Figueroa, I think we're probably going to see the downturn of Benavidez now. And I think it's Askarov's time. Not that it changes the price of fish at the top of the division. Even with this win, Asgarov still goes up. We're still waiting on Figueroa Moreno, and Cody Garbrandt is still probably next in line.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see Askarov versus Garbrandt if he wants to get in.
That'd be a good fight. But unfortunately, I think Jose is going to spoil your party, mate. And I think he's going to grind out a decision.
Yeah, maybe. I can't see it. I can't see it. I think his time's done.
We'll see.
Moving up, we got Song Yadong versus Kyler Phillips, or Baby Jesus. Okay, Kyler Phillips. I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures of him. Song Yadong, man. We've had this absolute resurgence of like Asian fighters all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like Asian fighters have been around for ages. Even the start of the UFC, when we had Sakuraba, we had loads of Asian fighters, and the Pride days was full of Asian fighters. But I think in the last probably 12 to 18 months, the Asian fighters have just been performing.
Yeah, I think China, that's the key, isn't it? Because when we talk about Asian fighters, it was mainly Japanese, South Korean, and a couple of the other countries and stuff. But now China seems to be producing some really good fighters. Yeah.
We had Liang Zhang, who scored that massive knockout a few weeks ago. Yadong, in fact, has got a couple of good wins, and some of it's weird. When I was checking records, some of them had been around for a long time. Got like 10 fights in UFC, and I didn't really know who they were.
No, because they've been on the prelims, like low down and stuff. And that's what I was talking to you before we started. Here's my sort of like my thing with the UFC at the moment. So 10 years ago, I would know pretty much all of the fights all the way through the card.
Yeah.
But they're so big now, and there's so many fights, I struggle to keep up. So I generally don't, unless like something's going on, like he's knocking people out, tapping people out, he or she, or they're doing something online. I don't know a lot of the fighters that are in the sort of prelims and stuff. Yeah. And there's so much, obviously, sometimes you're getting 2 cards a weekend, and the depth of the cards, it's like, I sort of prefer it from before where there was less fighters, but at the same time, I know it's better for the sport, and I know it's better for finding more talent, having deeper, bigger cards, and there's not many leagues in the world, so this is the way it's got to go. But I sort of miss the old days when I knew every single fighter in the UFC almost, and I knew who they'd fought and what they'd done.
Yeah.
It's massive now, isn't it? It's huge.
It's huge, absolutely huge. I think this COVID has not only put a spanner in the works for them. I know the whole ESPN deal was a massive drama because they had to supply a certain amount of cards in the year to be paid by ESPN. Hence the reason they were pushing so badly for Fight Island. And then as soon as places were opening up, they were throwing events, just straight down the range. I think this is the best thing that's happened for some of the Asian fighters, because we haven't been able to have events in Asia and Australia where they would normally get thrown on in a sort of not very great card. So having them fight on Fight Island, having them fight in Las Vegas has just done their promotional, push loads, and it's added some real value to a load of their names. I mean, Weili Zhang, that win against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, that really put, China, I think her single-handedly brought fans into a lot of the other Chinese fighters as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think I don't know. We ain't seen. I don't think we've seen the last champion from China. Like you said.
Definitely not. I think it's just going to get. It's almost like Russia, Dagestan. I think there's just going to be this influx over the next 5-10 years of fighters from them countries. And do you know what I think it is as well? Is when the UFC goes around, when it goes to Australia, when it goes to Europe, and when he went to China, didn't it? It had a couple of fights in China the last couple of years. Once they go there, so I don't know why it says it. It's like a little bomb goes off, and all of a sudden, gyms get packed, and then these fighters get pushed out, and they come in and turn up in the UFC and the promotions, and more fighters come through. And and I think that's definitely helped. Like in the last few years, UFC holding events in China, and this is what we're seeing now. We're seeing them people come through, and they're going to dominate. I think Russia. We're going to have like trends, aren't we? Over decades, we're going to have like Asia's going to dominate, Russia's going to dominate, the Americans, Brazil. It's all going to take turns and go back.
It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, exactly that. We had that spate, didn't we, where we had all the Brazilian fighters absolutely dominating. We had every division at one point taken by American fighters. Yeah, we had the Canadians dominating for a little while, and with the spread, it's just going to get sort of bigger and bigger. The interesting point on that, we've now got champions that have benefited from, like you said, the UFC going over to places. So I've been following Alex Volkanovski for a long time before he was in the UFC, and he'd been like petitioning for a fight, getting huge fan base behind him. He was the top featherweight and the top lightweight in Australia at one point. In the whole of Asia at one point. And couldn't get a fight in the UFC, and he had to step in last minute as a replacement on a UFC card that was scheduled for over in Asia. And that's how he finally got his shot. And look what has happened there.
Booming. Yeah. So who you got for Song and Kyler?
I think. If you look at the records, Kyler Phillips has got the better record, but Song Yadong for me will probably take it.
Yeah, I think Yadong, and I think a decision again. I think he's going to win via the decision. Yeah,
I think with Kyler Phillips, I don't know if he's been in, a 3-round war with anybody because he's fairly new. But we'll get to find out in this fight. This is the other thing with these Asian fighters. They like put everything on the line.
They do. They go to war, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And they're not happy to lose, but they're willing to take risks for that extra step up.
Yeah, I think Song's solid enough. Grappling and stand up, and I just think I don't think he stands out massively in one of them, but he's really good. He reminds me like a Russian fighter. He's good enough where he can grind out decision after decision. I think he'll go on and win a lot of fights. He won't lose many fights, so I think he's winning that one.
So we've both got Song Yadong for that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. So closing up the prelims, we've got Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny.
How is he? Like, this should be the main card. It's like, I know he's lost. But like, I think he's going to win this quite easily. I think he's going to look really good again.
You reckon?
I don't know if he'll ever win the title again, but like, I think he's going to beat Casey Kenner. He's going to look like the old Dominic Cruz, dancing around and just pitter-pattering like with shots, and I think he's going to dominate. I think he's going to look really good. Maybe even finish in the third round. Ooh. That's how I think this is going to go.
That's a big shout. I
know it is. It's Casey Kenner. He looks good. He's got good hands as well, hasn't he, Casey Kenner?
Yeah, he has.
Yeah. No, but I still think Dominic's fight IQ is he's a veteran. And I just think it's not Casey's time. I don't think this is not a good fight for Casey Kenner. Well, it is. It's an opportunity.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but I just think it's too soon. I think another fight would have suited him. But obviously, if I was him, and for him, he's grabbing this opportunity. And if he wins, fantastic. And that's going to throw him up there. Yeah. But I don't see it. I think Dominic Cruz is going to win this. And I think he's going to win it quite easily. Yeah. I think he's going to dominate.
I think I know why they do it. I asked this question before. Why did the UFC have these top fighters in the prelims? And the answer I got was they want a good fight closing the prelims out, because from that fight they'll generate more pay-per-views for the main event. Yeah. So that's why they always put a fight on there that they're expecting to be a good fight.
Yeah, because this bit's free, isn't it? Still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is on like normal TV in America. You can watch this in a bar. You haven't paid nothing yet.
Yeah.
And then obviously a lot of bars are already paid for the main card. But if you're sat at home and you watch this and you go, oh, that's a good fight, and Dominic Cruz looks good, or this up-and-comer beats this guy who's a bit of a legend veteran and all that sort of stuff. Exactly. It's like that Connor, not Connor, it's like the, what's his name? Stephan Bonner and Griffin.
It's
just people go, whoa, you've got to watch this, you've got to. And apparently during that fight, like the viewership just went crazy. And that was people bringing up, people going, you've got to watch this, it's crazy. Yeah. And went on like a 3-round war. And that's I think that's like the UFC's like tactic. And but I don't think it's going to work out well for Casey Kennedy. Wrong time.
I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't know about this one.
I like this is good.
He doesn't get Dominic Cruz doesn't really suffer ring rust. Yeah, and that's been proven. He took loads of time out before, and then come back and looked great. When he had that fight against Cejudo, I'm not saying it was an early stoppage, but he wasn't out of the fight. I don't think we got to see Cejudo done enough to win the fight, and the ref stopped it, so he lost the fight. Simple as that.
Yeah. And I think Cejudo would have won the fight anyway. I still think he would have won the fight. It could have gone on for a bit longer. Yeah, I think it would have went on longer. But like you said, I think it probably got stopped a bit early.
Yeah. So I think hopefully we'll get to see Dominic Cruz at his full potential again. I love Dominic Cruz. I've got stuff behind me. Yeah, I've got a Dominic Cruz signed glove there. I've got some other stuff on the wall. Is he on the? Yeah, he's on some of my posters as well. So he's one of my favourite fighters. I know he's a bit Marmite. People like him or hate him. But I like him. I like him as an analyst. I like him as a fighter.
I think he's a very intelligent fighter. I mean, obviously, most fighters have to be quite intelligent to do it. It's not just a dumb sport where you just got to punch people in the face. It's quite the opposite. You've got to be quite, especially to get to these sort of levels, you've got to be quite switched on. And you could see that in his fight style before he became a commentator. But when you listen to him talk and break down fights, wow, you can see his intelligence. And I think, because some people do suffer with ring rust, and he doesn't, but I don't think he doesn't because of anything physically he does different. I think it's because he's that intelligent that he sets out a plan, and most of the time that works. And obviously, a few times it hasn't worked. He's been caught, he's been knocked out, he's lost. But I think he'll win this, and I love watching him fight. He's so entertaining to watch. His style.
I love Dominic Cruz. Like I said, have you ever watched any of his breakdown videos? He does a few of them with Angela Hill. And where he breaks one that rings to mind is when he broke down Stipe beating DC by going to the body, and the way he breaks it down and talks about why that was such a good idea and how the opportunity arose and how Stipe switched mid-fight to recognise it was an issue. He's just he's so informative in a really good way.
Yes. Yeah, he is. He's definitely one of the best guys at commentating. So when he does retire, which I can imagine will be in the next year or two, he won't be lost.
See what happens with old Aljamain and Piyota Yan.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. On to the main card, or on the main event. Man, this is stacked. I'm looking at it now.
This has got to be one of the most stacked cards we've ever had.
Yeah.
It's got to be up there, hasn't it?
It's got to be.
So the first fight, Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rattich. Wow.
Yeah. I know,
That could be like the second fight underneath the title fight, easily.
That could main event a fight night card.
Yeah, massively, yeah.
Especially as the light heavyweight. I mean, well, it'll get answered, actually. It'll get answered when on the main event, Jan Blachowicz versus Adesanya. But Thiago Santos, Rakic could have genuine title implications. I know Glover Teixeira is there as well. He's ready to step in should anyone drop out. I'm guessing Adesanya drops out. It's for the belt. Blachowicz drops out. It's probably for an interim belt. I've not seen that anywhere, but you've got to have some sort of reward in place for him stepping up and the amount of effort and probably money that's gone into Adesanya stepping up as well.
Yeah, but touch wood, none of them two have ever dropped out of the fight, have they?
Not that I can think of, no. And I'm hoping all of these just happen. But yeah, Santos Rattich, who do you think?
So Santos, he's knocked a few guys out. He's gotten a really impressive run of fights from the beginning of his UFC career. Yeah. But he struggled in his last couple of fights, hasn't he? He's lost and won a couple, and he's on a 2-fight losing streak.
Yeah.
But that's him fighting the best of his division.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. John Jones being one.
Yeah, so John Jones and who's the other guy he lost to? Glover,
yeah.
Yeah, Glover, yeah. So Glover, obviously fantastic. And I expected Santos to win that, but Glover just showed veteran skill and worked him on the fence, I think, if I remember rightly.
Glover's I think he's 148 years old or something, Glover. But I think, what was it? He was into his 30s, fairly old when he came into the UFC. And he had that crazy record, if you remember. He had one loss, 32 win streak or a 29 win. He had some crazy win streak when he stepped in, but coming on 40 years old when he come in.
Yeah, he definitely missed his peak in the UFC. It's a shame.
Yeah,
he was obviously one of Liddell's main sparring partners all them years. Yeah, so he come in and he was straight into it, and he looked really good when he turned up, and then he's just gone back and forth, and then he's got this resurgence of the last 12 months, maybe a year and a half, where he's won a couple of fights that people didn't expect him to win, and now he's up there and looking good, and if he wins another, could be a title fight there for him. But anyway, so Santos, he's lost 2 in a row, so he's got something to prove. And he can knock people out. But then he's against this, I'd say younger. He's not that much younger, but younger when it comes to fights in the UFC.
Yeah.
Rattich,
he's only had 15 fights total, I think. Rattich.
Yeah. But he looks really good. I mean, his last win was against Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
And that was a really good fight. So this is I'm struggling to see who's going to win this, because Thiago can knock people out.
Yeah.
Rattich is a bit of both. He's got hands, but he's a good all rounder. He can grapple. Yeah. I'm not sure. Who do you think's going to win this?
I mean, considering the 2 people Santos has lost to, he's lost to John Jones. That was one of those fights that people were did he lose? I mean,
he didn't get massively beat, did he?
I think that John Jones was at a stage then at light heavyweight where he knew what he had to do to win, and he just put on just a working man's performance and just got the win. I think John Jones lost a bit of his buzz.
I think John Jones is doing what GSP was doing in the last few fights.
100%.
He knew how to win. He's an expert. Well, he is an expert at winning fights. When he started off, he was finishing people all the time. He was doing crazy stuff, and he still does stuff, and he obviously finishes people. But then, like GSP was in his last few fights, Jones has become an expert at just getting it done and winning the next fight, and that's why he is what he is. And that's what he's done a few times, and it's been a bit close, but he's still amazing. But Santos, his legs were pretty beaten up, weren't they?
Yeah, I think he tore his ACL. I think.
Yeah, he was hobbling around, and he still did so well, considering his ACL was hanging off, and he was pretty beaten up. Yeah, that was quite an impressive show from him. Even though he lost, I think he still looked good.
Yeah, I'm picking Santos for it.
I'm probably going to go that way as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rattich won. I wouldn't be whoa, what's going on here?
I think with Rattich, Rattich is just. This is a step up into the top 5 a couple of fights too soon. Your Rattich is firmly in the top 10. I just think I suppose, where'd you go though after you beat someone like Anthony Smith? The division is starting to become more and more stacked with younger fighters coming up. It's the ideal time, I think, to get a win and cement yourself as a title contender. And I think these two fighting each other now, apart from Glover, this is probably you're up there next in line for a shot.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Rattich does win this, like he's jumping straight up, isn't he? That's quite impressive, especially if he wins it impressively. Yeah. He's going to be up there. Maybe he'll fight Glover next, and then a title or something like that. A title fight after that. So it's all there for him, isn't it? It's all there.
Yeah, I think. Do you know? So Santos. Do you know who his last win was against?
So he lost against Jones, Glover. So before that, wait a minute, the guy Yan.
Yeah.
He beat Yan. Yeah. When I was looking through, I was like, he beat Yan Blachanovic. Yeah.
TKO'd him. TKO'd. Yeah. So if he does win, there's grounds there to put a really good fight together with a bit of history behind it as well.
Yeah. And that's why fighting doesn't make any sense. It's not like a football match, is it? If you're the best, you generally beat everyone below you. It's not like that.
No, not at all.
Fight science is so hard. It's like the guy at number 5 could beat the guy that was a champion like a year ago.
Yeah.
But the next 3 above him can't beat the champ. But the guy at number 5 did. It's the styles, isn't it? Styles make fights, and that's what's so great about MMA. I love it. It's so diverse.
So our next fight up from that, well, in fact, just to cap that, I'm picking Santos. I think he's going to get the win, and I think he'll be up there with Glover for the next shot probably.
Yeah, I'm picking Santos, and I've only just picked it now because I was thinking last night and I couldn't make my mind up. But I think I don't think he knocks out Rattich. I think it's a decision, but I think it's a really good fight. I think they go at each other. I think it's a war.
I think this is a potential fight of the night. This one.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of them knocks each other out. I wouldn't be like, what's going on here?
For a performance of the night.
Yeah, definitely.
So stepping up, then we've got Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. So, Makhachev is probably he is, isn't he? He's sort of taken the torch off Khabib's cousin, although he calls him his brother. He's been his long-term training partner. Like I said, he has sort of taken over the torch. He kind of went under the radar, or under my radar, for a while. I didn't really pay much attention to him until he got into the top 10.
Yeah.
He's on the cusp of the top 10 now.
Yeah. The opposite for me, because he's a grappler. I've been watching him from I think probably his first fight.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the guy he fought, and he fought a really talented fellow Russian. I'm sure he was Russian, and the other guy he was fighting was like a really good fight. They had like a war. They went at each other, and I was like, "Whoa, who's this guy?" And knowing obviously where he comes from, like the team he fought fights with, and he's so similar to Khabib. I think he's got better hands than Khabib. I think he's better at his stand-up than Khabib. And in this fight, they sort of grappled a little bit, but they just went at each other. And I can't remember the guy's name now. But since then, I've always spotted him on the undercards and the prelims and gone, whoa. And I've always followed how he's won. And because he's a grappler, I've always had a keen eye on him. And I think he is a future champion, mate. I think in 2 years, he could be the champion of the division, mate. He is a beast. Yeah, he grapples almost as good as Khabib. I suppose he's got to just learn how to make that work in every fight like Khabib does. He makes his grappling work in every fight. He sort of learned to win, hasn't he? I was talking about Jones.
Yeah.
Even if it's a bad fight, he can just win a fight. I think he's got to learn to do that with his grappling. But it's up there. He knows how to nullify someone. And I think he's better at standing up than Khabib is. And bad news for Drew Dober, because if you look at Drew's all of his fights, the only ones he's really lost are against grapplers.
Yeah.
High-level grapplers or jiu-jitsu guys, he's getting tapped out or losing decisions. So this is a terrible fight for him, because Islam, I reckon, will stand with him for a while, and then he's going to turn it into grappling. And I see Islam winning by submission.
You're probably right. That's pretty much that's what I pick as well. Yeah, that's the thing with Mackie. So he's also a world Sambo gold champion.
Sambo.
He is a world champion, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Or gold medalist, whatever they call it.
Yeah, most of them are. I mean, if like the team is just full of like champions, they do that and then they transition over to MMA. It's pretty much MMA, like Sambo. It's similar different places. But he is. Yeah.
I think there's some interesting facts about about Islam is there's always that question getting asked about Khabib about the Gleason Tabao fight. Remember that one? Whether he actually won it, because people think that it was a bad decision and Khabib shouldn't have won. Well, just after that, Gleason Tabao and Makayev fought, and Makayev KO'd him.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he's better than Khabib because MMA maths doesn't work like that, but he's got some good wins. He's got wins over Nick Lentz, who is a tough competitor. Adriano Martins, he fought and beat. Gleason Tabao, Sarukian. Did he fight? He fought Sarukian a couple of bouts ago as well.
That's the guy I'm on about. Yes. And he is good, mate. I've seen him for a while, but when they had that fight, so I don't know if that was his first fight or not, but I think
that was a fight of the night. Fight of the night, that one.
Yeah, I was just like blown away watching them two go at it. Like two, and I'm sure he's Eastern Bloc as well, isn't he?
I don't know if he's he's like a Russian Armenian.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah. So when they had their fight, I was just so impressed with both of them, and since then I've always been like, oh, Makhachev, and I've watched him obviously fight after fight, and thinking, I think he's going to be like, he's going to win gold in the next 2 years. I'm very impressed with him, and he's just like Khabib, but like I say, he's got better hands. I think. Yeah. Stand up better. I mean, he probably doesn't do that well against Khabib in training because Khabib's like, he's a beast. But I think when he reminds me of Khabib at the same sort of stage after like whatever amount of fights, let's say he had 8 fights, similar sort of thing. All of a sudden, them last few fights that Khabib had before he won the title, you're like, oh, who's this guy? Boom, and then that's it. He dominates, and I think he will. I think he'll dominate.
So I'm guessing you're picking Islam then?
Yeah, by submission. I think he's going to sub Drew Dober. Not a bad fighter. I'm quite impressed with him, but I think he's got a hole in his game, because if you look through all of his fights, he goes against someone that can wrestle, grapple, like Jiu-Jitsu, he loses. When he stands and when he gets to stand and bang, he wins. But I think Makhachev's got enough in the standing to compete with him. But I think Makhachev in the end will take his back or something and strangle him.
I think. I'm going to go for a decision on it. I still think Makhachev would, and I think that it's not a close decision. I think he dominates Drew Dober every round. So I'm the same. Makhachev win, and that will pump him up into the top 10. He's in and around the sort of Gregor Gillespie, Kevin Lee type area in the rankings that I've got here. It's weird with the rankings because you can look on the UFC rankings, the ESPN, they're all different. So I try and keep my own, but there's so many fights and events that happen now that it's hard to keep up to date with the whole thing. Yeah, it is. Yeah. But,
what I was saying, like I was saying earlier, there's so many fighters now, so many events, but it's just so you could spend. My wife and kids would never see me if I kept up the amount of
no
interest in it I used to do. It's impossible. Unless you get a job in doing this.
That's what we need. Just get a job doing this, and then you can
just do this. That'd be great.
Then you can get a studio as well.
Yeah.
She was happy when I took this room as a studio.
I
bet. So first title fight of the night, Piyota Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. I know.
What a fight! Aljamain's sort of peaking now, isn't he? He's like, he was always good. He was always good with his grappling. His stand-up's pretty good too. But he's definitely hit a peak. and then he's going up against a solid competitor who I don't think is going to lose this fight. I think this guy is too good.
Piyota Yan.
Yeah, his boxing's like tight. He can grapple to the point where he can keep people off him and just beat them with his fists. He is so good. Like his last few fights and then winning, getting the belt. I can't see Aljamain winning this. Even though Aljamain's looking really good, I just don't think Aljamain's got enough. But if he does win, I don't see him knocking Peta out. I think it will be a submission.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't see him winning it. I see this as Yan's.
Yeah. It's weird. So Piyota Yan's obviously a Russian, one of the sort of Russian imports. Not one of the Dagestan type guys, but he's where he's from. They've got a weird system in Russia for all of this, all this stuff because they've got like a Master of Sports award that they give out in Russia, literally like a medal. And he's a Master of Sports in boxing and a Master of Sports in mixed martial arts in Russia. Yeah, just like Khabib is a Master of Sports in Sambo. Yeah. I had a sort of heated debate about who had the best boxing in the UFC, and I had him in my top 5 because his boxing is so good. Now, the guy he works with John Hutchinson now, who's trained Olympic boxers. So he is top quality in boxing. I believe he's a purple belt, BJJ as well. He's literally worked on the whole aspect of the game. And I think what it is he come out of nowhere, or it seemed he come out of nowhere, so people don't realise how good he is.
Yeah, it's because he's so quiet. He's like typical Russian. He's quiet, he doesn't go off. So you didn't really hear much about him until he turned up and started winning them fights.
Yeah.
But I don't even think he's the finished article yet. I think he's got like room for him. I don't think he's got room for improvement, but I think he will get better. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
So he looks tight with his stand-up. His boxing skills look really good now, but I think he's going to grow and get even better.
I think the only unanswered question with Yan is he hasn't fought a young fighter. So I think this is that, isn't it? Yeah, his last 3 were Aldo, Uriah Faber, Rivera, John Dobson. You go back. He fought the Brazilian guy Andrade before that. So all not old, but all well into their 30s. He's fought veterans. Aljamain Sterling is the first young, hungry lion that's coming up that he's going to be fighting.
It's definitely going to be different for him, isn't it? Like, the energy that Aljamain's going to have, like the diversity in what he does. He's crazy. Like I was watching some of his fights last night, and like he does like kicks and from any position he's doing like punches. He's very unorthodox in what he does, and he's got outstanding grappling. Obviously, his team that he comes from is a really great team when it comes to both actually stand up and grappling.
Yeah, with Sarah Longo.
He's going to be a threat, and he's a young lion, and he looks thirsty, and it's definitely his time. I just don't see him getting past Yan. Like his fundamentals are really good all over. I mean, he's got that Russian background where he's like, if he doesn't want to grapple, he won't grapple with you, and he's got enough of that to keep it standing. Do you know what I mean? But if he does end up on the floor, he's probably gonna like just get back up.
He's got that background.
Yeah. The only way I see him losing is by submission. I think that's what Aljamain's got, which is I wouldn't say better, but that's his best, the best like weapon that Aljamain's got. So if he did lose, I imagine it would be by submission.
I think, yeah, he's got a solid wrestling background, hasn't he, as well, Sterling?
Yeah, he has, yeah.
You know, he's fit, healthy. I think something that people don't take into consideration as well is he's just like settled his life down. He's just got married, to his long-term partner. And I think sometimes that can give you a different outlook on life. So, potentially you're going to get him come in, calm, and he knows what he wants from his life now that he's settled down. It's like the classic example, in our environment, people have kids, get married, and they tend to they then square themselves away and go on to better things.
Yeah, you see it in any job. Someone go from a young lad to a mature, still a young man, but a mature young man. Yeah. And you can see that in people's fighting. You can see it come across, definitely. And like you say, he's one of them guys that he's fighting at the right time. He's at his peak.
Yeah, perfect time for him to fight for a title.
He's got a load of years at his peak now, and he's got room for improvement. But this is his time. I just think
I'm picking him to win.
Yeah, who's picking Aljamain?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I'm picking him to win. I think he's got 5 rounds to catch Yan in a submission, and I just think that I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities over them 5 rounds for him to catch Yan. I'm picking Sterling.
Nice. This makes watching it even better. Doing kicks like this. It's going to make it even more nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
When I watch fights, and I get nervous when I'm invested in fights anyway.
So he beat his last fight out was sort of a 1-minute win over Corey Sandhagen when he subbed Corey Sandhagen out in the first round.
That was
to earn this, and that was to earn this shot.
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
And Sandhagen's, as we've just seen, is no joke. Yeah.
No, he's not.
Another young hungry lion.
Him.
Yeah,
strangled him.
It's stacked. Bantamweight's stacked.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely.
But if you're
the champion in that division, you've got a lot of people coming at you. Yeah,
definitely.
But I see like his style, like especially the way the Russians do it. He's just really good at everything. Yeah, and his boxing's like just right for like teeing off on people.
It's a style of boxing that works in MMA.
Oh yeah, 100%.
When people talk about the greatest boxers, they say these guys are great at boxing. They're not going to make the top 10 if they went over and fought for a WBC belt. But it's slightly different because the angles are different. The way you've got to move in and out is different because there's a threat of being kicked and being took down and being pushed up against the cage that you don't have in boxing. So they are good boxers, and I'm sure some of them would do well, but it's a different type of boxing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is.
Aljamain Sterling all the way. I think he finally gets that gold put around.
We'll have to see, mate. I wouldn't be bothered. It's like I don't mind whoever wins. It's not as if I prefer Yan or anything. I just think Yan. Yeah, I'm just picking Yan with his stand-up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. That's the second one. Second one we've not agreed on. And I'm sure this next one we probably will agree on. So Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson.
Yeah.
Who you got?
I just think, Megan Anderson she's good. I like her. She's good. And she's big. She's long. She's taller. She's got reach. But she hasn't fought lots of big names. No, she's doing well, but I think she's just the next person that's like, who else can win? Because depth, obviously, in the women's featherweight division, in all their divisions, isn't great. So once they've beat a few people as a champion, they're running out and they're digging down. They're going down, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think she's just the next person in line. I don't see her winning this. I don't think she's good enough. The only thing that might help, obviously, is that reach and that height advantage. And she can knock people out and she can strangle people. But I just see Amanda Nunes winning, maybe by decision, but I think she could finish her as well. She's going to be quite durable, I think, Megan, because she's quite big. So I think she's going to be able to take, maybe be able to take the power and go the distance, but I don't see her winning it.
I mean, it's at featherweight, so it's at 145. So although even still, I think that suits Nunes even more because she doesn't have to cut as much weight. And the last time we saw Nunes at 145 was that victory over Cyborg.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
up in there.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, that was so impressive.
That was basically her cementing herself probably as the best female fighter ever for me.
I think so.
And potentially with still more fight. Although she has said that she's only going to fight one or two more times before she retires and concentrates on being a mum.
Yeah. Sorry, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to move. My family's turning up. We've been going way longer than I expected, so I'm going to dive in the top room upstairs. 2 seconds. Don't let the kids upstairs. No, stay downstairs. Okay, in a bit. Keep going.
Yeah, so, I think this is almost a foregone conclusion. It's that she's only got the fight because there isn't hardly any fighters at 145.
Yeah.
So, I mean, her last 2 wins are against people who have been signed just to fight her.
Yes.
They haven't even got Wikipedia pages.
No, yeah.
No.
Which is great for them people, but it's just unfortunate for her, isn't it, that she can't sort of solidify what she's already sort of done, which is like absolutely amazing. And I definitely, she is she's the best ever female fighter. Yeah.
I think that this is just going to be. It's going to be like watching a veteran champion fight a prospect newly signed. I just don't see any way that Megan Anderson can win.
No. I just think the only chance she's got is she goes the distance because of her attributes, her physical attributes.
Yeah, I think Megan Anderson's probably the biggest woman in the UFC. I'm going out on a limb saying that, but it's an educated guess.
She
must be coming on. Yeah, she must be. She is.
Yeah, she's 6 foot, and then Nunes is 5'8", so that's quite a difference.
Yeah, I remember watching Megan Anderson. I think she fought Holly Holm, who again is another tall, rangy female fighter, and seeing how big they both were, I was quite shocked that they were that tall.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just can't see a way she can win. I think Nunes just goes out and just dominates pretty easily. She could either take her down or knock her out, but she'll get the win.
Completely agree.
Unless there's I don't know if you watched Megan Anderson versus Kat Zingano when she took the toe in the eye.
I did, yeah. Such an unfortunate fight, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, I know. You've got a freak accident like that happening, but that's the only way she beats Nunes.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was really gutted about that fight. It was just one of them things that happens every now and then. You get the odd fight that just ends weirdly and the wrong person gets the win. And I mean, there's been a few over the years, but I suppose one that reminds me a little bit is, but it's not the same, is John Jones doing the elbows to
Matt Hamill.
Yeah, it's not the same, but the same. It's like, so Jones has got like one loss, but it's not really a loss. It's like, yeah.
They tried to get that overturned a little while ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You'd think if the UFC wanted it overturned, they would be able to, but it's not.
Yeah, no, sorry, mate. It's just chaos.
You need to get a recording sign.
I know. I need a room like you've got with a lock on the door, soundproof room.
No, I mean yours are younger than mine, aren't they?
Yeah, 2 6-year-olds and a 4-year-old. So it's chaos.
You got twins?
Yeah, twin girl boys at 6, girl boy at 6, and then a girl at 4. So it's like having triplets. Yeah, it's like, I call it beautiful chaos.
I think it is called. It's called Irish triplets. It's called Irish triplets if you've only got a year gap.
Yeah. So, last fight.
I mean, who are you picking to start with?
Okay, mate. I tell you what, let's talk.
Okay.
And then we'll pick at the end because let's talk, and then I'll pick at the end. So,
okay,
this is dangerous. Like, I love that he's doing it, stepping up, and I remember watching people like GSP and Anderson Silva, and I always thought when they were near the end of their sort of careers, and when I say careers for Anderson Silva, I mean like obviously 3, 4, 5 years ago before he lost the title, and then he's gone on this run of losing, bar one. I wish Anderson had stepped up more and fought the champions of other divisions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wish GSP did at the time. And Adesanya's doing what I've always wanted them people to do, like what McGregor's done.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes me so nervous because it's like you're putting a lot on the line. Oh man, I'm nervous now talking about it.
Yeah.
Like thinking of all the things that can go wrong. The problem is Yan. What I try and compare it to is I look and try and compare it to another fight that he's had. Is there? And I don't know about his kickboxing career. I know he stepped up quite. I think he was the heavyweight in his kickboxing career. It's different. But if I can compare it to a fight, I suppose a little bit like Romero, because Romero is absolutely huge. When he was in the ring at the time after the weigh-ins, obviously in the fighting, he's massive. He weighs a lot more, and not on about height, but like the thickness, the strength, knockout ability, all that sort of stuff. And Yan is a bigger, heavier guy than Romero. So that makes me think that he's going to like obviously do his normal thing where he keeps his distance, he uses his kicks, he uses his footwork and his speed, and he's a technician, isn't he? He's an absolute stand-up technician, and he does that. But the problem is, can he do it against such a heavy, powerful guy in a small ring? Is that a small ring in the Apex Center? That's the smaller ring, isn't it?
Do you know what? I don't know, actually.
I think it is. When they go to Abu Dhabi and it's a bigger ring, and I've heard Cormier talk about this before. When the heavyweights fight in there, he always mentions it, and it makes me think a smaller ring. So Yan's got, Adesanya's got less space to move around and use his footwork.
Yeah.
This is like, I wouldn't be surprised if Adesanya gets caught with one of them punches. You know, like Yan's catching everyone when he's on the inside. He's dirty boxing. He's really close. And he has one of these crazy robotic hooks that he does.
Yeah.
And he swings it round and he catches people. And you're like, whoa.
Rockhold. He caught Rockhold with that.
Yeah. He's caught a few people. His last 4 fights, I think he's caught 3 of them have been like that. Coming off the fence, breaking up from being like in a position like when they're close. That's what scares me. But that's and then when you look at the way Adesanya is inside, he leans back and drops his hands and he gets clipped. Everyone he's fought catches him and not that much, but catches him clean. So he's got a good chin. He has got a good chin. But this guy is a different weight and he can knock people out. And it worries me that if he loses, that's how he loses. He gets caught leaning back. And like, I know he caught Robert Whittaker and he was like in a crazy angle with his arm, like hooking out. And then he caught him. Robert Whittaker missed him. I think he caught him with 1 punch, missed with 1 or 2. And then he missed with 1. And then he caught Robert and Robert went down. And it was beautiful. It was like, oh my Lord. But the size of Yan, if he's doing that and Yan touches him during that time, I think he's hitting the deck, man. But I think Adesanya wins. I think he wins a war where he spends the first couple of rounds and he evades him quite well. Yan gets quite tired, loses a little bit of his power, and they trade a little bit back and forth. I think it's a 5-round war.
Interesting.
I don't know, though. I don't know, mate, because it's like, this is the great thing. It's like normally you can. Where were we at? I can't remember where we left off.
So we were just saying about the smaller cage and the fact that, you know, with it being a smaller cage, potentially that is more in Yan's advantage.
Yeah, because he's going to be chasing him around. Have you seen the way he does it? He sort of storms forward, and he catches
or
people.
he's almost, he comes forward ready to
He's like
fry.
a robot. He's like a rock'em sock'em robot, but it works. Obviously, he's won a load of fights and he's the champ. But oh man, this is a scary fight because just all the things I talked about. I always want champions after a while when they've, especially what Adesanya's done in his division, is like he's got the opportunity to do it, step up and try and do it. But it's like it's hard to work out. It's hard to work the maths out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because some people do it and they look really good and they go up and it's like, when people jump up to like weight divisions or down and they look great. And some people do it just not work out.
I think, the whole moving up to fight John Jones thing, it's odd that he chose as soon as John left to step up. When, John Jones was saying, come up to light heavyweight, and Adesanya said, no, he hasn't cleared out the division yet. Once he does, he'll step up. And then as soon as John leaves for heavyweight, he comes up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I thought that was a bit, that didn't really do much for his legacy that way.
It made no sense, did it? Because it was all building up for a fight and it was looking good and they're bobbing off at each other and you thought, right, so surely. And then John moves and he jumps in and it's like, well, you want them to fight. But I sort of didn't want them to fight because I'm a big fan of both. And I don't see Adesanya beating Jones because Jones is like he's Adesanya's worst nightmare because he's longer and he's great at stand up and he's great at grappling. I think he dominates him. If they fought each other now, the size that Adesanya is, he's not got the power, the size, the length. It's almost like, when Jones goes against, who's the guy that's equally as long? It's a couple of guys.
Alexander Gustafsson.
He gave Jones nightmares because all of a sudden he didn't have that super, and he's always had that reach advantage and length advantage. And then he had it with the other guy that he beat recently, who Yan just beat.
Dominic Reyes.
Dramas with him. And I think that's what would happen with but worse with Adesanya. Jones is huge compared to him. Not good for Adesanya yet. That's what I'm saying yet.
Yeah. I think with Adesanya, it seems like he's fought some really big guys because we see the size of, Costa and Yoel Romero. But, Costa's only 6 foot. Yoel Romero's 6'10", 6'11", maybe. 5'10", 5'11". So although they look huge, they're not. So Israel has always had that advantage as well. I mean,
Anderson Silva had it. Anderson Silva was longer than everyone else. His limbs were just longer. He wasn't necessarily taller, but he's just so much length.
And I think that he would have lost that. I mean, he's going to lose that against Yan. Yan's 6'2", long as hell arms. So my pick on this, and it's probably an unpopular one because I know Adesanya's the favourite. I think Yan knocks him out.
That's what scares me. It's got all the bells. All my bells are ringing, saying this is not a good fight for him because, like you say, exactly that. Like he gets hit, but he dominates people with his footwork and his movement. And that's the problem. I think if Yan touches him once, not like Robert Whittaker or all the other guys he's fought, they've touched him and they haven't knocked him out because he's got a good chin. But if Yan catches him, not good because Yan is knocking everyone out he's touching at the moment.
I think the
body kick.
I think the Adesanya Gastelum fight, it was a close decision. Gastelum's got that. He just marches forward, uses his fitness, grabs and throws. And I think that Jan Blachowicz is going to do the same. He's going to just march forward. Although that plays into Adesanya's strengths because he is a counter puncher, he's a counter striker, and he's very good at it. At some stage over 25 minutes, you're going to get caught against the fence, or you're going to get, you're going to get tied up in a clinch. And coming out of the clinch is where Yan tends to catch people pretty badly.
But if he gets him, I think he can knock him out in the club. Not even that thing what he does when he's coming out. He can, if he gets hold of him, this is not good because the guy is huge. Like it's not good.
He'll be entering the ring at sort of 225, 230.
Yeah.
And Israel Adesanya walks around at I think I saw 207 or 209.
Yeah.
So he's going to have
hard has to make it
2 stone weight advantage by the time they step into the ring. Into the octagon, sorry. Yeah. I think Blachowicz catches him and TKOs him.
That's what you're going for?
That's what I'm going for, yeah.
That's what worries me.
I think the UFC has just had to eat humble pie a few times recently. They absolutely banked on Conor beating Dustin, and they had Khabib there ready to talk about it after, and then Dustin just ruined their plans. We had there's been a few recently I've been watching with friends, but best case for the UFC just didn't happen. And I think this is another one. It's just they're expecting Adesanya to go up, hold both belts, and then I think probably try and cool Jones back down to 205.
That's what I think will happen. Yeah.
But have you seen John Jones recently?
Yeah, he's absolutely massive.
He ain't getting back down to 205.
Yeah, he's still got tiny legs, but them legs are amazing at getting in the air and kicking people in the face and in the body and all that sort of stuff, or kicking people knees away. Yeah, this is one of the reasons I love. I was a massive boxing fan all my childhood, and I fell out of love with boxing when I found the UFC in the early 2000s because the best guys weren't always fighting the best guys. There were so many weight divisions. People would have their careers like sort of padded out with give me fights. And this is one of the things I love about the UFC. You are fighting the best guys in your division pretty much every time. I mean, sometimes UFC go, no, Conor hasn't been around for a while, jumps straight in and gets a really good fight straight away because of what he brings to a fight. But this is it. It's like you get that, and that's why you don't get people with 30-0 like that much or 20-0. It's very rare because when they're in the UFC doing these fights, that is, it's because you're always fighting the best guys in your division, and it's just fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
This fight. Oh man, this fight. So Yan needs to get hold of him. If you were Yan, if you could make Yan do what you wanted him to do, you'd say, get him against the fence, get him on the ground, knacker him out and beat him up. And he could do that and probably finish him.
I think
people don't always do that, do they? Egos take over and he wants to knock him out and chase him around the ring.
Yeah. I think that the best thing for him to do is, and it's dangerous, but I think he needs to walk Adesanya down, tie him up in the clinch, and either use leg kicks or body punches to slow Adesanya down. And I think that will open the opportunities up after the second round to catch him with a big shot and put him away.
But I've got a funny feeling he's going to walk him down and he's not going to be hurting him. He's going to hit Yan, counter Yan, hit him with kicks, punches, and Yan's going to take it and just keep going forward. Yeah, that's what I'm scared of. Because I'm a big Adesanya fan, I want him to win.
Yeah,
that's what my heart says. Adesanya, I want him to win. I don't not like Yan, but I just want Adesanya to win because what he brings and he's just fun to watch.
Yeah,
but I'm really, really worried about this fight.
It's odd. You don't often get these that. It seems that both guys' avenues to win are the most dangerous, methods of victory.
Yeah.
For Yan to walk Adesanya down and get him in the clinch, he's going to need to walk through all of those counter strikes that Adesanya's going to throw. And for Adesanya to win, he's probably going to have to fight on the back foot and continue to throw these counter strikes. But to do that, he's going to have to let Yan walk him down a little bit. Both of the courses of action for them are most dangerous course of action in order to get the victory. I've been looking forward to this fight the whole time. I know people are saying, I think Adesanya's a huge betting favourite. Not as big as Nunes Anderson, but he's a huge betting favourite for it.
I'm surprised about that. I haven't looked at the betting odds. I see this as danger. Like I'm worried we're going to see a champ Adesanya lose his belt, and then like, well, no, he's not going to lose his belt. It's not for his belt, but I suppose he can just go back to his division and carry on there. But I'm like, this is risky, and fair play to him. And if he wins this, wow.
Yeah.
If he beats Yan, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's making him look very, very good. And he is very, very good.
Yeah, especially when the timing is perfect. If it's true and he does walk around at 207 or 209, it's not a big cut down to 185. And we could see for the first time ever somebody actually defend both titles.
Not the first time ever. First man ever.
First man ever. Yeah. Yeah, because literally the fight before.
She's got no choice though. She's got that little amount of like competition. She needs 2 belts with 2 divisions. Yeah, fair one.
But yeah, so we could see him drop down and fight the winner of Whittaker versus Costa. And the timing's perfect for it.
Yeah, and if he won it, he does that, and then Jones does his thing at heavyweight, and Jones comes back down, and that's like woo.
It's just the story. The story's great for this.
Amazing. I love the UFC, mate. I love it. Imagine the last year with like only a little bit of UFC just before Christmas, and like them. I'm so glad that Dana's like Dana the way he is, and he was like, no, we'll carry on, and they just did it and led the way in sport around the world.
I think it's the ESPN deal. They wouldn't have got paid. They have to carry on.
Big motivator. But I think even knowing him, even if that deal wasn't like that, and he was with Fox still, and he still would have pushed the fight.
Probably.
Yeah.
So they're all being tested and stuff right now in the lead up to the event. And like I said, touch wood, all of these fights actually happen and make it onto it. You going to watch it all live?
I'm going to stay up. I don't stay up as much as I used to because I've got 3 kids and it's a beast. But I'm definitely staying up, especially because with this conversation, it's such a good card.
Yeah.
This is one of them ones. I do it for Conor. I do it for like Khabib fights. I'll be. Well, I won't stay up. What I do is I set my alarm. Get up.
Yeah. And I'll be staying up for this one. I'll probably do a sort of. I'll set a thing on Facebook, like a live discussion group on Facebook.
Cool.
If you want to jump on that, and all the other people that stay up and watch it can jump on. And we'll have a chat about the fights as we're going through.
Yeah, definitely, mate. It'd be good.
Cool, Aaron. Thanks for your time, mate. I've taken up a load of it, and your wife's probably wanting you to do as many jobs as what my wife wanted me to do as well.
It's barbecue time, mate. It's barbecue time.
Fair. Yeah, fair one. I'm painting, so
nice.
So yeah, enjoy.
Thanks for letting me come on and chat with you. I really enjoyed it, mate. And you ever need me again, I'm here. And I'm not an MMA fighter. I'm just a massive fan, and I'll chat all day, every day about like fighting, which is what I love. So I really appreciate it, mate. And good luck with this. I love it. I love what you're doing, mate. It's fantastic. It's great.
We're going to keep. It's growing. Every episode is growing. It's growing the followers. It's growing the views. And I've been going 2 months now. And hopefully it's going to just carry on a nice rise. Hopefully get some other good people on as well. So you just got to supply good content and people will watch it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you say, it will just slowly grow. I mean, most podcasts start off with minimal viewers, and then it just builds and builds. So hopefully it works out, mate. I'll be there supporting you all the way, like sharing and like gobbing off in the comments for you.
Happy days. As soon as the t-shirts come in, I'll get one out to you. Okay,
mate. Much appreciated. And when we're at work next, I'll keep that poster and I'll give you that poster for your wall. There's a spare place. Man. There's a spare place up there for it, I've seen.
Oh, is there?
Other side, yeah.
Yeah,
all
cool,
right, mate.
Man. Right, cool. Aaron, catch you in a bit.
You too, mate. Take care. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.